What's up, guys? Mad Fragger. I'm back with another fragrance review video. Thank you to everybody who has taken this ride with me through 2025 on my fragrance journey, and hope that you stick around for 2026. I plan to get a lot more fragrances in 26 and hope that you'll be here to share them with me. So, for 2025, I picked up a lot of different stuff. A lot of fragrances entered the collection and a lot of fragrances left. So out of everything that I bought in this calendar year, this past calendar year, 2025, these are the 5 best, in my opinion, that I added to my collection. Now, these aren't all fragrances that were released in 2025. They're just ones that I picked up in 2025, so keep that in mind. And we're going to go from the one that, the number 5, and we're going to count down to the number 1 spot. So at the 5 spot, it is kind of a tie. And I say kind of a tie because we got this guy and we got this guy. So at the number 5 spot, officially, I'm going to say that it is Dior Sauvage Elixir. This is a fragrance that I wanted for a little bit of time, for a little while before I picked it up. Finally picked it up this past year. It's everything that I thought it was going to be and more. This is a masterfully created fragrance from Dior. I feel like this is one of the best that's in my collection for sure. Definitely one of the best I picked up last year. And it is just the epitome of masculinity. And it is one of the best cold weather, fall, winter fragrances that you're going to find. And it is just fantastic. So the reason that I have Assad Elixir here in this spot as well is I just picked this one up very recently, as this one just released very recently. But I wanted to make note of this because I couldn't decide which one of these to put in the 5 spot. So officially it's going to be this one, but I have to make note of this fragrance as well because I thought that Original Assad was a very good representation and a very good clone of Dior Sauvage Elixir. This one, I think, actually captures it in a little bit better way. This is a flanker, but in my opinion, this fragrance is a flanker of Assad, and it actually does a little bit better job of capturing what you find in Dior Sauvage Elixir than the Original Assad did. And then you're going to have a couple other little nuances. Some people would say are a little bit similar to Boss Bottled Absolute. Some extra woodiness, some chocolatey patchouli. It's smoothed out a little bit compared to the Original Assad. I think it's a little more wearable, and it's definitely a little bit more wearable than this one here. This is not a fragrance that's very versatile. I would say if there's one negative thing, it's not the most versatile fragrance. This one does a much better job of making this scent profile wearable, in my opinion. Quality great, performance great. This is a banger. This is one that I think is excellent, and I had to put this in a tie with Sauvage Elixir in the 5 spot. So there's the 5 spot right there. At the 4 spot, we've got Terre d'Hermes EDT, and it's backwards. There we go. Terre d'Hermes EDT. Again, this is a fragrance that I had my eye on for a while. I just picked it up this past year, though. And this thing is, again, I feel like this is a masterpiece of modern perfumery from Hermes. I've tried a lot of the other flankers of this fragrance, and I actually own a couple, but this one here, I think, is just the epitome. Again, I know I've used that word twice today, but it is a great representation of a masculine fragrance that is just, timeless in its, the way that it kind of captures this scent profile, and the way that it kind of projects masculinity. And you get the orange, you get the little bit of hint of citrus here, like a dirty orange almost, and then the woodiness in the base. Everything about this fragrance just kind of pulls together as a team and makes this one of the greatest things that I've ever tried, one of the best things I have in my collection, and one of the best things that I picked up last year. I highly recommend this fragrance to anybody who wants a versatile fragrance that's not exactly mass appealing necessarily, but one that I feel that a lot of people could really enjoy, especially if you like things that are on that, a little more on the masculine side, a little bit of a hint of a classic feel to it. Although I wouldn't say this is still wears very modern. I do think that it has a classic nature to it, and that's the reason why I put this at the number 4 spot. This is one of the better ones I feel that I have in the collection, and I highly recommend that one to anybody who is, really serious about fragrances and collecting fragrances. This is one that I think that you should have in your collection, and I'm glad that I have it in mind. The next one that I have is one that I've been talking about since March. I got this in March. I thought this thing was just absolutely balls to the wall fantastic from the day that I got it and took it out of the box and tried it. This is one of those Middle Eastern fragrances that, from the minute that I unboxed it, the performance was excellent, quality excellent, everything was like checking all the boxes on this thing. Now, this is a fragrance that I've noticed that as of late, it's actually started to make a little bit of a push as far as popularity goes, as far as getting traction in the community. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about this and saying how good it is, and it is a very good fragrance from Lattafa. It's an original from Lattafa. It was perfumed by Quentin Biche, and it's not supposed to be a dupe of anything, unlike a lot of other fragrances that Lattafa puts out. This one's an original, but it is going to kind of remind you of some other things. Anytime anybody asks me about Camra, this is the direction that I point them in, because I think that this thing just blows the doors off of Camra. It does give you that kind of angel share feel in a way with, like I said, some other kind of, you're going to remind some nuances of some other fall winter fragrances kind of thrown in here. But as a whole, this thing is just amazing. The plum in here is fantastic. There's great vanilla. It is just a fragrance that you can wear in the fall and winter as an everyday, and it's one that can be dressed up, dressed down. Fantastic release from Lattafa. Probably one of my favorite. I gotta say, this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, from Lattafa, from the house, of everything I've tried from the house of Lattafa. This is on point. This is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion as far as dupe fragrances go, and it definitely deserves to be at the 3 spot in my collection. I was going to put this a little bit higher, but I wrestled with this list a little bit, but it ends up in the 3 spot. It deserves to be there. I hope that you guys pick this up and make this part of your collection, because I think that you'll be glad that you did. The next one at the number 2 spot is going to be Lattafa Atlas. This would have been the number 1, but my favorite fragrance in my entire collection, I just happened to pick up on January 4th, so it just makes it into the 2025 list. This one, however, I really wanted to put as number 1, but it comes in at the 2 spot. This is a very fresh, salty, sea air kind of feeling that you get from this fragrance. It is very airy. It is, kind of reminds you of if you stepped out of the balcony of like an expensive beachside hotel, that sea air. I grew up in Florida. I'm very familiar with that kind of sea air kind of smell. They captured in here beautifully. It's got some oak moss in the base that gives it a little bit of green, like almost like a seaweedy feel, which I think is one aspect to this that may not work for some people. And another reason that some folks may not get down with Lattafa Atlas is simply that it is too strong. For some folks, this one is just too strong. It is very, very powerful. Nuclear level performance here. Projection is monstrous. Scent cloud, huge. Sillage, like 30 feet away. You can smell this thing on somebody. It is the strongest fragrance at this point that I have in my collection. Now, it didn't start out that way. When I got this, it had really good performance out of the box, but it wasn't quite the beast that it is right now. After maturing for a little while in the collection, it has become one of the strongest fragrances that I own. And again, that can be a sticking point for some. Maybe it's a little too strong. But for me, when you take that kind of scent profile that this has and put it together with the magnificent performance, this is something, although it is a much better fragrance for like warm weather climate, more warm weather kind of feel. I'll wear this anytime, any day, anywhere, any occasion, doesn't matter. I love this thing to death. Just dial back the sprays on it. I'm an oversprayer, but I only do 3 or 4 sprays of this thing, and it is still just like outrageous with just a few sprays. So Lattafa Atlas, well deserved at the number 2 spot in my collection. I just absolutely adore this thing. I realize that not everybody is going to agree with me on this one, but for me, this thing deserves to be where it is, and I just am so glad that I got this, and I'm so glad I have it in my collection. And at the number 1 spot, as I said before, this is a fragrance I picked up on January 4th, so it just made its way into the 2025 list. And this is Black Rose from George Zaharoff, more specifically, Signature Black Rose Halfeti from the house of Zaharoff. Now, this fragrance here is a masculine rose fragrance. I feel like it's a rose fragrance that even a guy who's not really into floral fragrances or fragrances that have the note of rose can still get down with. It does have a mass appealing style of scent profile to it, but at the same time, it's very, artistic, and it's something that frag heads and, casual wearers can get down with, both of those alike. And it is just, look at the presentation here. This is all done by hand. This is all hand painted. Beautiful purple juice from that black rose oil that's in here. George travels the world and dedicates his time and his life to finding the most unique and incredible ingredients to put in these fragrances. He puts his heart, his soul, his passion into these fragrances. He's probably one of the nicest guys you ever will meet in your life if you ever were to encounter him or interact with him. He's just such a beautiful soul. And, I feel like everything from the Zaharoff line is top line niche perfumery. But this one here, I can't say this is the best fragrance I've ever smelled, because that honor belongs to Amouage Reflection Man. I don't own that fragrance though, and I didn't pick that fragrance up in 2025. I wish I had. This one I did. This one is my favorite in my collection currently, and it's also number 1 on my list of best fragrances that I acquired in the year 2025. And boy, I got to tell you guys, this is one I so highly recommend to anybody to pick up. Sample it if you must first. George, on the website, the Zaharoff website, you can buy samples of this and other Zaharoff fragrances for $7 a piece. I think they're 5 ml samples. Get your nose on it, see what you think about it. I think most people, when they smell this, are just going to fall in love with it, no matter whether you're somebody with 5 bottles or 500 in your collection. I think that this is one that you could add to your collection and that you'll be super happy that you did. And I think it's just one of the best things I've ever smelled in my perfume journey yet. And I implore you guys to try this, pick this one up. I don't think you'll regret it. This is a compliment getter. I've never worn this fragrance without getting a compliment, and there's been times I've worn it and gotten, one time I got 5-6 compliments in like 10 minutes from one person. So this thing is a banger. This thing is a 11 out of 10. It is, in my opinion, the best thing that I have, and I feel like I feel like anybody who gets their nose on this is going to be impressed. So there are my top 5 best pickups for 2025. Dior Sauvage Elixir with a little kind of honorable mention here, Assad Elixir, Terre d'Hermès EDT. Then you got Teriyaki Intense from Lattafa, an original from Lattafa, Lattafa Atlas, and Halfeti, Signature Black Rose Halfeti from the House of Zaharoff. Thank you for joining me for this video. Thank you for joining me for 2025 through my fragrance journey. I hope that you'll continue to join me in 2026. Be picking up a lot more stuff. I've been doing lives almost every evening at 8 o'clock. I do lives on TikTok. Got a lot of new stuff coming out on my YouTube channel, The Mad Fragger. Check me out at The Mad Fragger on TikTok as well. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next time.